But we were going down 6th Avenue, we were walking. We must have gone to All Saints Church or something, because we were close by. We were walking past Immaculate Heart. At that time it was still a working school.
Right.
And we heard this music, we peeked through the fence and the Changuitos were playing. I asked Randy, do you like that? Would you like something like that? And he said, yeah.
That was right around the time, unbeknownst to me, 64, was when Father Charles Rourke started his summer youth project, Los Changuitos Feos, celebrating their 40th anniversary this year. And my mom comes to me and said, you know, would you like to audition for the Mariachi, Los Changuitos Feos? And I wasn't really interested. So I was taken by the ear down to the audition.
When they had functions, well, the parents would help out, like when they used to have La Fiesta de la Placita. Of course, the mothers cooked and fathers helped put up the booths.
The booths, all the stuff.
And we'd cook and we'd take turns working in the booths. And when they traveled, if they were going close to Tucson, some of the fathers would drive. And then what?
But if they traveled out of town, they'd get a bus.
Charter a bus.
And the parents would go too. So we enjoyed it. We enjoyed it.
Yeah, the parents got to go.
Well, the main thing that we did, about maybe the only thing that we really, we put up a booth at La Fiesta de la Placita that was held each year, had been for many years, with the Tucson Festival Society. And I was involved with my own club in having a booth to raise funds for our club. So I said, well, why not have one for Los Changuitos Feos as well, which we did. So some of the Changuitos, beginning Changuitos parents helped. I remember Mrs. Julia Velez, Gilbert Velez's mom, and Charlie Anthony, Mrs. Anthony, and
Mrs. Arvizo was another.
Mrs. Arvizo, who was Mr. and Mrs. Arvizo, because both were so helpful. They had Leonard and Wilford both in the group, so they were very hard workers to help us with those booths, which we had for every year that we could raise money for them after that.
Well, she went to Chicago store and she was asking, how can I want my son to be a mariachi, I want him to be in the Changuitos, I want him to do this, I want him, I wanted to, So sure enough, she got the telephone number from the owner at Chicago store, gave me Joe Mendoza's number, and I hung on to it. And my mom nagged me for weeks. Have you called Mr. Mendoza? Have you called Mr. Mendoza? No. Well, you gotta call him. If you don't call him, I'm gonna call him. And so finally, just to be done with it, I called him. And I got my son interested, and he just absolutely loved it. And that's the way we got started. And I was in everything he ever did with changos. I mean, I was just a part of it, and loved it. Soon my life became Los Changuitos Feos. My life revolved around the organization and my child. And my younger son, who is now a performer, and he's a leader, name is Danny. He plays the vihuela. And because he was my younger child, I took him everywhere I went. So as he saw his older brother playing and singing and loving it so much, he just started playing and decided he wanted to play the vihuela.
I've been playing the vihuela for 6 years, and I've been in Changuitos for 6 years. And basically my brother Adrian Bachelor, he got me started into it. Ever since I started, I always went to his practices, and I always went to his performances, and I started picking up the love of the music.
My brother was in the Changuitos first, Randy, and he had joined, I'm trying to remember remember when he joined. 65, 66, somewhere around there. I can't remember. 66 maybe. And of course, everywhere they played, my mom and dad would take him, so you know, I tagged along. They wouldn't leave me home alone, so. But I saw this group, and I was just, wow, I want to do that. You know, I loved it. It was so neat. And seeing Mac up there and Randy, you know, and I just told my mom, you know what, I want to do that. I really want to do that.
I started when I was 10. I was 10 years old. I started with Los Changuitos Feos. It was something that my dad wanted me to do. I was clueless about mariachi music and stuff. He took me to rehearsal. I liked it, and I was hooked.
Interesting. Father Rourke was, of course, the director of Los Changuitos Feos back in the late 60s. Right. And I think from the cathedral, if I'm not mistaken, he was assigned to St. Monica Church. Right. And of course, that's where, you know, that was our parish. And my sister happened to be the secretary there at the rectory. So she put in the plug, hey, my brother plays guitar. And that's how it all started.
I remember we practiced at my grandmother's house.
Really?
And something about my grandmother having a fly swatter. My mom knows all these stories, but I think somebody was trying to kiss somebody, and my grandmother was Hispanic. Was it that? Something like that. And then she was whacking somebody with a fly swatter and to not kiss somebody. See, that's what happened. You get the girls and guys together, and it was a mess. But we were great, and they loved, my mom and my grandmother were thrilled that we were practicing at her house.
The parents play a tremendous role because I know what it takes to get kids from here to Phoenix and back, feed them, drive them, stop, get them dressed, get them here, get them there on time. It takes a tremendous amount of time, even here in town, just to get them, make sure they're all wearing the right ties, make sure they start on time, make sure they know what they've got to do. The parents have always really worked together. I'll take this kid, and you go with her and go with it. You know, we usually travel when we go out of town. We caravan and watch out for each other and look out for each other. And if somebody gets left behind, somebody waits up, and we just work as a team. But it takes the parents.
And then you chaperoned on trips and things.
Oh yes, that was a lot of fun. You know, just we drove the group, the parents involved helped drive them to the different places that they were going. We went to Ajo, and we went to Douglas, and Nogales, Bisbee,
Florence.
Yes. All the smaller towns around Arizona we visited. Of course, visited Phoenix as well.
It takes, as parents, I mean, it takes a lot of sacrifice as parents as well. I mean, my mom's weekends were shot because until I turned, 17 to where I can drive, their weekends were shot as well. They were taking us, everywhere we're going. If they had to go, as chaperones to trips, they were able to go. But it took a lot of sacrifice from our parents as well.
The best part about it was, number one, being in the changos, the name. Back then, that was like, there was, hardly any other musical groups, especially youth groups. I don't think there was any. But the best part of it was being with friends, playing music and being with their friends and getting to know the families. And I think that was a big part. I mean, it didn't matter whose house we went to, we were always welcome in that house. The parents were very supportive. You walk in, what do you want? You want something to eat, want something to drink? Where are you guys going? You better be careful, behave, stuff like that. And I think it was a unity of who we were at that time. And 30 years later, basically everybody's a phone call away.
Mom and Dad, I love you. Because of them, I'm doing what I'm doing.